dispensary and not a cooperative or collective. And so it's a simple thing. You want to show good faith on your part that you're scrupulously attempting to comply with the guidelines. You say you helped write because the federal government didn't help write these. Then where is the proactive effort?
Well, and I know there have been some attempts for dispensaries to organize into something like a trade union, or however you want to describe it. That's something I would find very welcome. Of course, we would like to see dispensaries regulate themselves and encourage each other to comply with these guidelines. The problem, once again, is the federal government. You can't form a trade union of dispensaries because that is asking, effectively, for the federal government to come in and bust you. You don't know if any of the members of your trade union is an undercover DEA agent who has nothing to do with it.
No, I suggest to you that you can't form the trade organization because, in fact, you're all commercial enterprises. And therefore, you're in violation of the guidelines. If you were collectives and cooperatives, you were limiting the amount that you possessed, the amount that you grew, to those people who were signed up specifically for that cooperative or collective. Very few, if any, of the 300 dispensaries in the state would be in compliance.
That's your opinion. Obviously, we strongly disagree. I would love to see your evidence to justify that.
Well, it's kind of what the Attorney General said in his press release that accompanied the issuance of the guidelines. He said he doubted, I'll quote from him here, for-profit medical marijuana dispensaries in the state are likely operating illegally, opening the way for local police to join federal authorities in shutting down such enterprises.
What was the beginning of that, John?
Attorney General Jerry Brown said Monday that for-profit medical marijuana dispensaries, which are virtually all of these in the state, are likely operating illegally, opening the way for local police to join federal authorities in shutting down such enterprises.
And what's the title of the article that you're reading from?
This is the Associated Press report accompanying.
I'm sorry, I'm just asking for the title.
Says Brown, some Medipot dispensaries may be illegal.
I mean, I think that's
Paul Elias, Associated Press, right?
And I think that's
dated August 26, 2008, the date that the guidelines were issued.
Yeah, I think that's a far cry from saying that the Attorney General says that either the majority or all illegal.
Now, what he said is that those that are for-profit dispensaries, which are virtually all of the dispensaries that are operating storefronts in the state of California.
I mean, we disagree on the facts.
So we've got about 10 minutes left. Why don't we take some questions? Oh my gosh. Let's just sort of start here and work our way across, all right? So yours, and then up there, and then here, and then here.
Have there been several instances in which federal law enforcement has gone in and shut down cooperatives or collaboratives, seized material there, but not made any arrests and not followed through with prosecution?
March 26th in San Francisco.
Talking about inland?
Yes.
I'm not going to discuss any pending cases.
Well, over the past several years, hasn't there been a pattern of these seizures without prosecution?
Are you a lawyer, law student?
No.
Lawyer. A lawyer?
No, I'm a reporter.
You're a reporter. All right. Well, then I guess this is for edification. There are steps in an investigative process that include preliminary steps, not necessarily relating to arrest. Search warrants, for example. There's no guarantee that with the execution of a search warrant that an arrest will necessarily follow, as far as I can take that.
Yeah, we refer to them as smash and grabs, and there have been probably close to 100.
What a surprise you call me.
Well, and it's not uncommon, right? The news today reported that there was a search warrant executed in that Tracy kidnapping and then murder of that young girl. I assume people here are prepared to accept that this happens, even though there's been no arrest. I mean, it's not unusual to have a search warrant executed without an arrest.
Murder hurts people.
I'm sorry?
Murder
hurts people, and marijuana doesn't. Well, that's the dispute, right? I mean, and so here's the question I want to ask, but I'm afraid you'll incriminate yourself. How many people here are users of marijuana? And how many people here are lying right now by not raising their hands? Because you have no medical use. I mean, Joe, I got to ask you this question. Isn't the medical marijuana campaign accompanied by a lot of people who want to legalize marijuana for everybody?
It's a pretext.
No, I'm asking the other Joe.
I was glad that you were going to ask me a question. I was afraid if you were going to ask me if I've ever used marijuana.
Well, no, the president has used marijuana, so we can all see.
I mean, of course, there are going to be a lot of people within the medical marijuana community who would like to legalize marijuana outright, but that's not a reason to say that the whole thing is a sham. There are many extremely legitimate patients, and I have met them. Every one of these folks who's legitimate medical marijuana patients in California has a doctor's approval to use marijuana for medical use. And we're lawyers, and I don't think it should be up to us to decide, does this person have a legitimate medical use?
Well, there isn't any criteria. If it's any other illness for which marijuana provides relief, and there is no pharmacology or scientific evidence that it really has any efficaciousness, then it's really on the basis of whatever the doctor thinks in his own, value judgment or scheme of things, and whatever the patient says might be helpful. I mean, we have Marinol.
And I still trust the doctor more than the lawyer.
Tetrahydrocannabinol can be used in a legitimate form in a tablet called Marinol. Now, they're all of the same. The alleged benefits of marijuana are the tetrahydrocannabinol component. Well, that is what little science there is, madam, at this point. And the fact of the matter is that people who want marijuana dispensed to them don't want to take it in pill form. They want to smoke it. And with all of the rest of what we know about how dangerous smoking is, why would there be some benefit to smoking marijuana?
There's a lot of brownies, Joe. Question up there, and then we'll go down.